What is up, Itrad Fantasy 2024? We are back. It is going to be, it's Tuesday, September 17th. Just came off of last night's game, Philadelphia and Atlanta, where Philly choked it away. So we're entering week three. Um, as you can see, my normal co-host isn't here right now, so I got a special guest filling in. Owner of the Kearney Satriales, Mike Merlo. Mike, anything you want to say before we get started?
Just honored to be on. I've been waiting like a couple weeks. I wanted to be on the first podcast. I couldn't make it. But yeah, just very happy and excited to be on the show right now. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and of course, of course. So, yeah, I do got a hat on right now because my hair was looking kind of crazy. I was taking a nap. Go
Me too. I
Yankees!
just woke up myself. Yeah, I saw your
But
text. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta hop on.
yeah, I know the league. I know the league. I'm trying this year. We kind of fell off with the podcast last year, so I'm trying to be on it every other week this year, or every 2 weeks or whatever. But yeah, let's get right into it. So before we start, on that first episode, my special guest here caught a lot of flack about his team, caught a lot of flack in the group chat after the draft. I think he was ranked, was it last in someone's rankings or was it second to
It was like
last?
11-10, or yeah, 10-9, some shit like that. It was.
Kearney Satriales were getting a little thrown around in the mud, some disrespect. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't say anything because I had my criticisms about the team, but Mike's sitting here 2-0. And I think there needs to be a little bit of respect put on Mike's team after all the criticism he got, after the draft and on the first episode and whatnot, which part's the reason why I want to have Mike on here today. Because, you know, on this podcast, we believe everybody has a voice. You want to come on here, voice your concerns, your comments, your opinions about anything. Anyone's welcome on. That's what we got this for. So let's dive right into it, man. So we're going to start with our most hot topic we got on every show. We're gonna start with our power rankings. So to start off, you know the drill. It's gonna be 11 teams because both of us aren't gonna rank our own team. But yeah, let's get right into it. So at number 11, my own flesh and blood, Tyler, child, please. It's just not looking too hot for Ty right now. I mean, when I look at his team, Puka went down. But then I look at the draft he had, and I had my criticism about this team right after the draft. And right now, his starting trio of wide receivers is Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks, and Tyler Lockett, with Aaron Jones at running back with fucking what's his name, Taylor? Jonathan Taylor. Now, if it was like 2021 right now, I'd be like, yo, this team is heat, bro. Like
Yeah,
Tyler Lockett,
yeah,
Brandon Cooks, Keenan Allen, but
for
it's the
sure.
year 2024, and these guys are just not it right now. I mean, even if you put Puka Nakua in that starting trio, one of them's going to be a flex, or you take Jalen Warren out and put him on the bench. And it's just I don't really know. The draft, he was like, when I saw he took Keenan Allen and Tyler Lockett, I'm like thinking, oh no, what are we doing here? JSN was on the board. Some other Jaden Reed, I think, was on the board for Allen. It was just, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping things could turn around for him. He's got a good QB in Hurts. I think Hurts put up his usual 25 Mickey points last night on his tush push. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but just not a lot to be excited about, I feel like, from this team. So I don't want to dig into him too much, my little bro, but you know, when there's flack, and sometimes you got to catch it. So, Mike, give me your number 11.
Yeah, I also got Ty at number 11. Just you pretty much hit everything on the nose right there. Anything I could say. I'll just add that like you look at his bench, there's not really anyone on his bench you can like plug in at those receiver spots like Brandon Cooks and Tyler Lockett and be like, wow, this is a major upgrade. And who knows, maybe when Puka gets back and injuries happen throughout the season, like if Keenan Allen can recapture some of that magic he had last year with Hawkinson, maybe he could turn around his season. But it's not looking good for little bro right now.
Unfortunate. Um, Number 10, I have my good friend Wilson. You wish, number 10. I mean, in all honesty, it's just like when I saw Wilson go three straight running backs out of the draft, it was kind of like three straight running backs. We're in a three wide receiver in a flex format, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me at the time. And now it's just, I feel like showing. I mean, he's off to an 0-2 start. I think he's what, yeah, second to last in points scored. Bijan, great pick. ETN, good pick. But then in round three, Rashard White, and I'm like thinking, Rashard White in round three. I mean, that's not really a guy, in my opinion, I'm taking over getting my first wide receiver. And what's his name? Bucky Irving hasn't.
Bucky Irvin, yeah,
He's
he's been
established a little
really
role in
solid.
that backfield. I think, let me look at how many points Rashard White had. 3 points, 10 carries, 18 yards, only one catch for 5 yards. In a game where it wasn't like the Bucks went up huge, where they weren't throwing the ball. I mean, Rashard White's bread and butter is supposed to be like 3 catches, 25 yards at least at the backfield. So a little concerning there. He doesn't have a QB either. His QBs are Stafford and Purdy. Purdy just lost Debo, and he doesn't have CMC. I mean, Purdy could go out there looking like Jeremy Garoppolo. Like, we don't know. Um, that'll just really be unfortunate for Wilson. I mean, Zay Flowers, I've been vocal about Zay Flowers. I'm not the talent that I don't like, but just that offense in Baltimore, I don't think will sustain a wide receiver one in fantasy, which is what Zay Flowers is for Wilson. Then he's got Christian Kirk, who actually, Mike, how many receiving yards did you have on Sunday?
I think I might have had more receiving yards than him. I gotta
You
double check.
did. You had zero. Christian Kirk had negative 1 receiving yards on
Wow,
Sunday,
wow.
which is tough. I actually just opened up his profile, and it first video said, "Should Christian Kirk be dropped in fantasy?" We're reaching these levels right now. Ryan Thomas Jr. clearly in 2 games has shown he's just going to be the number one guy in Jacksonville. Jacksonville, not really an offense I would have invested into. I mean, his wide receiver two, and then he's got ETN, who it's like not really an offense want to be that heavily invested to. I mean, DJ Moore and Kincaid haven't really showed up that much for him yet. I mean, DJ Moore had 10 and 11. Kincaid hasn't gotten going yet. It's just not looking great for you, Wish. I mean, I just don't know how you could really win in this league with the format of not having any wide receivers.
Yeah, my number 10, I also had Wilson. This had nothing to do with the rankings of the last podcast. Um, I think a wise man once said that about my team that Achan isn't even the best running back on the Dolphins, and I
Mm.
kind of feel pretty confident I could say that about Travis Etienne and Rashad White. Definitely Rashad White as Bucky Irving. I'll just start a stat out that I saw the other day. Baker Mayfield is averaging more yards per carry than Rashad White, so that just goes to show how inefficient he is at running back.
Yeah, I think he was
Um,
actually last year the most inefficient rusher in the league last
he
year, Rashard White.
was, yeah. And now you add like Baker has been locked in this new offense. Like he's getting out of the pocket, looking downfield. Like he's finding Evans. Godwin's been the guy. McMillan's looked okay. Like I just don't think they need that little check down guy that they've needed in years past with Rashad White anymore. And
Yeah, especially with
especially when
Chris
Bucky
Godwin
Irving
back in
is
the
adding
slot role.
a better, yeah, better rushing upside. So it just Rashad White's role is dwindling down. But and then as far as his receivers, you hit it on the nose. Christian Kirk put up -1 yards. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen was out. Odunze was limited or whatever. He was hurt coming into the game, and he still like kind of put up not great numbers. And I like Zay Flowers, but as your number one is it's
Tough.
tough.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, like the Ravens are notoriously known as a run first team, and not really any wide receiver off the top of my head is even if they crack the top 25, like they're not cracking the top 20. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah. Number 9. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I have sucked my dick at number 9. I'll give not I don't know what the word I'm looking for, credit or whatever, but I will admit, Eddie took CMC round one, he's out. Cup just got basically what it sounds like he's about to get put on IR. So that's your first, and I think you took Cooper Cup third round
And
pick.
Waddle second, yeah, with two and
It's
now.
tough for your first and third round pick to just be erased after week two. So, but right now he's starting Caleb Williams. Um, Williams has not looked great on the field and has not been a good option at quarterback in fantasy. He's scored 14 points in his first two games. I mean, Neighbors had his day against Washington. I don't know if that'll be sustainable going forward, but who knows? Maybe it is. He definitely will have the target share. That'll be for sure. What he does with it, we'll see. I know Washington has like one of the notoriously worst passing defenses like in the past 3 years, something like that. Hopefully for Ed, Ken Walker could come back this week. He missed last week. Ed starting Kyle Pitts and Jake Ferguson at tight end and flex. And that's not a troll either. That might actually be what he has to run out. I don't see it happening with Kyle Pitts. I mean, this is year, what are we in?
Four,
Three,
four,
three or
yeah, three or
four,
four, yeah.
waiting for the Kyle Pitts breakout, and it's just not looking like it's gonna happen. So when you're starting two tight ends in your lineup and it's Pitts and Ferguson, it's tough. Tua is out he just got put on IR. Don't really know what it means for Jalen Waddle right now. And then he's starting Andres Yoshibas. Caught I think two touchdowns last week.
Mm-hmm.
His one bright spot, I will say, Brian Robinson looks really good. So that was a good late round pick for him. But for the remainder of the season, we just got to see if Eddie could go 500 until his players come off the IR. But unfortunate for Ed, had him as a top three team last episode, but things have changed.
Yeah, I also have Ed at 9. Ironically, we're pretty locked in step right now. But yeah, Ed, you got to give him his credit. He killed it rounds like 4 through 8 or 9, whatever. Like Brian Robinson, Ken Walker, like those are smash picks that can keep him afloat right now. And Neighbors is looking like a bona fide wide receiver one. Um, he's just unlucky with McCaffrey and Cup, and two again hurt with Waddle. That's really sucks. And his quarterback situation, Caleb Williams, like that could definitely improve. He's only a rookie, so the highest prospect since like I think Andrew Luck, so who knows? But Shane Waldron is a fucking loser, also the offensive coordinator in Chicago. Um, but yeah, when Ed is healthy, he's definitely a top team. But as of right now, he's number 9 for me.
Yeah, going on to what are we on? Number 8, right?
Yeah.
Number 8, I have Barnegat Cass. When I look at Cass's team, I mean he's sitting at 0-2. We had a close game week one, about 3 point difference. When I look at his team right now, James Conner's been great. Um, the reason why I have him here at 8 is because Jefferson did get hurt. I don't quote me on this. I think he left the game and didn't come back when he got hurt.
He didn't come back yet, but they're saying he's day to day, and it's looking very positive.
Okay. Um, I don't. I'm just gonna say I'm still not entirely sold on Sam Darnold. Uh, I know he's looked good, but as far as from a fantasy perspective that goes, I don't know if he can make Justin Jefferson that. I mean, that fucking throw he had for what I think 99 yards was insane.
It's crazy,
But
yeah.
yeah, we'll see if he can keep it going. No disrespect to the talent of Justin Jefferson, solely has to do with Sam Darnold. Um, Stephon Diggs and Drake London. I mean, I think London did score that touchdown late last night, though.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
6 catches, 54 yards, 7 targets, 17 points with the touchdown. Um, there's still upward and onward to go for Drake London. I feel like Kirk's still not 100% healthy. I feel like later in the season, if they can get that offense going, I believe Drake London could be a more solid wide receiver too going forward. But I have to see more of that first. Stephon Diggs, who is in a crowded wide receiver room, that's another just kind of question mark for me. I don't want to write him off, but I kind of need to see more before I could really trust him in the lineup. Where we're more worried about with Castro and why I have him here at number 8 is Travis Kelce. He took Kelce round 3, I believe. Think round 3.
Yeah, I believe so.
Um, and Kelce has what 4 points right now. He had 6.4 week 1, 1.6 week 2. I don't know. Is this the Kelce regression year? I feel like the Chiefs have gotten so efficient at running the ball. Well, I know Checo's out now, but it just kind of takes an impact on him because I feel like his game was really like kind of those shorter, just peppering him with those short like zone squatting passes. Now you got Rice in the slot role who's doing really well, so it might just be the Kelce regression year. And then when I look at his flex, Montgomery, Keon Coleman is an option, and then it's really no one else to go to. Not really the strongest options at flex. I feel like if the Lions ever get down big or can't really control the game with the running, if Montgomery doesn't get in the end zone, he's kind of a dud. So
Hmm.
I'm on number 8.
So in my number 8, I have Julian, and it's not any disrespect. It's just pure. He's got his two best players, Debo and AJ Brown, out.
Hmm.
Um, as far as this week goes, he's starting Tyler Johnson, who's like, I mean, I know it's a Rams McVay wide receiver and all, and Cup and Puka are out, but it's against San Fran. I don't like that matchup. He's starting two tight ends, like we said with that before. Like it's never really a good thing when you're starting two tight ends. Yes, McBride is probably tight end number one. And CMC and Debo are out for Kittle, so he could definitely boom against a pretty shitty Rams defense. But Henry's got a tough matchup against Dallas. Shaheed, who knows? Like with this new offense in Kubiak, I mean, I don't. He could just. It seems like he's going to be like that boom bust. Like he could drop 20, 25 one week and then drop 2 or 3 the next week. So like Vic Fangio, I know he likes to play the cover two, disguising and everything, and he doesn't really like getting any wide receivers over the top. So I think that's going to limit Shaheed this week. And I think Ramsey is going to draw the matchup versus Jigba, I'd imagine. Uh, I, Ramsey's been playing all over the field this year with Anthony Weaver and the new defense. So, and with Mahomes, the Falcons have a solid day. I mean, they've limited the Eagles and the Steelers. I know they're not great on offense, but the Falcons have a pretty solid day. Low K. Raheem Morris is a good defensive coach. So I got Jewel at number 8. And like I said, it's just purely off injury. Terry, he's not what I expected him to be. And I think Jalen Polk might be pretty good soon, but he's not quite there yet.
Hmm. So we're at number 7.
Mhm.
At number 7, I actually have Julian. So yeah, you kind of hit it on the nose with a lot of that. Julian just lost his two best wide receivers for which might be an extended time. I know AJ Brown said he's definitely missing a couple weeks. I don't know how serious the Debo injury is, but
Shanahan
I
said at least
also
a few weeks.
yeah. Um Mahomes, like I was just saying about the Chiefs before, it just looks to me like from a fantasy perspective, the Mahomes Chiefs have just gotten so efficient at running the ball where I don't know if everyone's kind of been waiting every year to see that Mahomes 50 touchdown season again. And every year it looks more and more like they're just getting so good at winning games that they just don't need to do it.
Yeah.
It's not like the talent's not there. I mean, I took Mahomes round 3 last year and he kind of disappointed. Um, week 1, 15 points, week 2, 13. Uh, I just saw the Eagles run all over the Falcons last night. If they could possibly do that on Sunday, versus the Falcons, they might not need to throw the ball that much. So for me, I'm kind of at the point where I don't know if I really see Mahomes as like a top 5 fantasy QB right now. Everybody knows the potential is there, but it to me they've just gotten so good at football where it looks like, we just don't care about your fantasy team. Um Jerome Ford, I was watching the Browns game. I felt like every time they showed the Browns on offense, I'm seeing Pierre Strong or whoever that guy or Donta Foreman was that running back. Out of nowhere, they like stopped. I had a fucking bet on Jerome Ford, and I'm like, yo, where is this guy? And so I don't know how big of a role Foreman's gonna have, but when you have the duo Foreman and then Henry, if the Ravens ever get in a game where Henry doesn't get in the end zone, it's not gonna look that great for Julian with his running backs. Like you were saying about the injuries, he's starting Tyler Johnson, um, and Shaheed, who's the long threat guy. I mean, my only concern there is if he doesn't get that long bomb, what his stat line would look like. JSN looked really good last week. A lot to be excited about there. And then I actually don't mind this double tight end start for Julian's team because I like McBride a lot. He looked really good. And Kittle, I like because Debo and CMC are out. A healthy team for Julian, he would definitely be further up the rankings, but he's going to be missing AJ Brown and Debo for a couple weeks. So I have Julian at my number 7.
Just real quick, my camera's okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, because I have the fantasy app pulled up. I just want to make sure. At my number 7, I have Kevin. He has a solid team. He has 2 workhorse backs. He has CD and Olave, and I think like the Cowboys are a weird team. Like one week they could get smoked, but like as we saw last week, and they do play the Ravens this week, so it will be a tough matchup. Um, then the rest of his lineup, and I know Ingram got hurt in pregame warms with a hamstring, but you got Ridley who miraculously scored 2 touchdowns off like 4 touches last week. I'm pretty sure, but that Titans offense just looks putrid. Kate Otten, like he's just you got Evans, Godwin, who's been killing it, and this kid McMillan, who they really like as that third wide receiver, and then like whatever they're doing with the running backs, and then Demarcus Robinson, like he could get you 10 points, and then there's really no one on his bench, maybe Javonte Williams that you're like okay he could maybe get more points than Robinson, but besides his top heavy guys like Jacobs, Mixon, CeeDee Lamb, and I think Olave is going to have a good week this week. Outside of that, there's not much. He doesn't have a lot going for him.
That was 7, right? So we're at
Mm-hmm.
6. Number 6, I have the Millimeter Peters. Andrew off to a good start in his return back to the league. I really
Mm-hmm.
liked his
Very.
draft.
Yep.
Great pick up with J.K. Dobbins. Not pick up, draft pick. Yeah, with J.K. Dobbins. Um, I'm a little concerned with Pacheco going down, or I would have him higher. Um, Higgins, another concern. I mean, I don't think he's still questionable. So when I look at his lineup, and if Higgins isn't playing, that's kind of why I have him here at this 6th spot. I don't like Cortland Sutton at all. I think he needs to put someone else in for him because that offense, I don't know if you could really be starting any wide receivers there. Smitty though, should be really good for him for the next couple of weeks. I like Smitty a lot.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown looked great last week. So yeah, I mean, without the Pacheco injury, I think he'd be higher just because Higgins has been hurt. But if you have Higgins ready to go on Sunday, his team might move up a slot or two, but those hamstring injuries you don't really know they're gonna be going until you get that report.
Yeah.
So but props to Andrew. He's drafted a good team. I like what he's doing right now. He's 1-1. So credit to Andrew for coming back in the league and having a better team than a lot of people I've seen put out here. So
Yeah. I agree. I also have Andrew at number 6, and just like a lot what you said, he fucking got a gem in Dobbins. It seems like he draws a tough matchup against Pittsburgh this week. And then that bottom three of his lineup, Sutton, Goddard, Higgins, it's just like very iffy, But Devontae Smith and Amon-Ra, and you got Josh Allen, like that's money, Like them, those three guys alone can win you this week and a couple
Yeah.
weeks. So if he just finds some pieces around them, he's looking really good.
And so we're at 5. Number 5, I have Love Hurts. I got Kevin a little higher than you do. Um, when I look at Kevin's team, I mean, he's got two running backs that are like the ball. I think Josh Jacobs had 30 carries or something last week.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're two bell. He's got two bell cow running backs, and well, the Packers offense should be better once Jordan Love comes back. But yeah, those offenses are should score a lot of points this year, and they're both goal line backs. They're both the bell cows. CD and Olave. I used to not be high on Olave, but I feel like the way the Saints are playing right now, like at some point he's got to start
Hmm.
snapping with how much they're scoring. Um, he's got Ingram hurt right now, which is why Kadon is in. I feel like Demarcus Robinson is not a bad flex play right now with the fact that the Rams are so injured on offense. Calvin Ridley is your wide receiver 3. I mean, you can't really complain, I feel like, about that. He should get his targets in that offense because there's not that much competition. Um, but yeah, I mean, even if you look at his bench, he's got some running back depth there, potential with Bucky Irving. I like Darnell Mooney too. Mooney looked good last night. He's got Javonte Williams, Josh Downs in the IR spot. I don't know how good Josh Downs will be with Anthony Richardson because it seems that with Anthony Richardson, it's kind of just like that deep ball or nothing kind of thing, which is why we've seen Michael Pittman. Not to who has Michael Pittman, by the way.
I believe Kenny or Diego. Let me see. I think it's Kenny. Yeah, Kenny, and Diego has him in Dynasty. That's why I was getting
Oh, yeah, that's
confused.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Kevin's team has some potential. If he gets Ingram back in the lineup, I like his lineup. I'm playing him this week, so I hope he doesn't do good. But going forward, I mean, I feel like Kevin has one of the better teams on paper. We just haven't really seen it yet. So I think we're at number
5.
5, right? 5, yeah.
So how you have Kevin a little bit higher, I have Castro a little bit higher, and a lot of that is just because Justin Jefferson. We saw what he could do. He could make one play, make it a great fantasy performance. But then his guys like outside of Jefferson, like Drake London, he had the touchdown yesterday. He looked really good. Kelsey has looked like he regressed, but at the end of the day, it is still Travis Kelsey. He's linked up with Mahomes. Like Pacheco's now hurt, so like if anyone's gonna just like dink and dunk with these like 2 to 5 yard passes, it's gonna be the Chiefs. I could see like Kelsey and Rice just like feasting off these like little gadget plays that the Chiefs do. Sorry. Diggs, he is interesting because while I think he's the wide receiver 3 in Houston, he is also Stephon Diggs, and he's gonna cry and cry until he gets the fucking ball. Um, Burrow looks solid against a great Chiefs defense, and he draws Washington this week, who has gotten gashed already the past 2 games. And then James Conner and Montgomery are just two guys like every year. I just feel like we're saying the same thing. You got them like rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, and they've just continued to prove over and over again. Like they're just solid plays at running back. And when you have really good receivers like Castro does, he's got Keon Coleman too. Like he had a goose egg last week, but it was a very weird game in Miami. Shit got out of hand quick, so I don't think that should be happening that much more, if at all. If he gets Mostert back, or if and when he gets Mostert back, like that could be a solid RB depth. And but yeah, like I said with Jefferson, like he just elevates a team that much.
So we're on 4. I do apologize to everyone. I actually mixed these two up. I was supposed to have Kevin or Sonny at 5 and Kevin at 4. So I'm just gonna talk about Sonny's team like he's number 4, but just for the record, I had these two flip flop. Um, so Sonny coming in at what should be my number 5. Kevin was my number 4, but anyway, from a fantasy perspective, when I look at his team, I see some more upside with guys like Deontay Johnson now that Andy Dalton's playing. Not that Andy Dalton is going to come in and Deontay Johnson's going to be a top 20 wide receiver, but as a flex play, I feel like Johnson's better off with Dalton than he was with Bryce Young. We still haven't seen the best of Garrett Wilson. I feel like uh, Brock Bowers looks great. Brock Bowers has potential to be the tight end 1 this year. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, We just saw James Cook go nuclear. He's got Gibbs, who I love. I know you love him too. Not too excited about Judy, but he was looking pretty good last game, so it looked like him and Watson don't have a bad connection. But Anthony Richardson, I just got to see him make the easier passes more. I mean, everyone knows he's a freak athlete. He's got the potential to be a great fantasy QB, but right now he can't complete the easy passes, which is kind of holding him back. So, as far as Sonny's team goes, I feel like there's some potential there we haven't seen yet, along with the emergence of Brock Bowers, which I think will be great for him. I feel like what we saw last year with Gardner Minshew playing on the Colts and how Michael Pittman was kind of that guy that got fed like those short intermediate routes. I feel like that's what we're going to see with Brock Bowers. I mean, Bowers last week had 9 catches, 9 targets on 98 yards. So this guy doesn't even need a touchdown at tight end to be, really
Mm-hmm.
optimal starting. So we're at 4 right now,
Yeah.
even though
So
that
my
was
number
mine.
4 is Kenny. This is just a solid team all around. Like you look at it and you're like, there's really no holes. I got nothing to complain about. The only reason why I'm putting him 4 and not a little bit higher, he's got 2 Redskins, Pittman, who hasn't looked good with Richardson this year,
Yeah,
a Raider in Adams, and a Bear, who all these guys are solid, but at the same time, I've seen all these offenses put out like just terrible performances, and that could definitely hinder these guys' performances. Saquon looks like the RB1. I mean, he just has been amazing in this Philly offense, and Lamar can, take the ceiling off any defense at any time. So, but just a solid team here for Kenny. Godwin looks like the steal of the draft in that Cooper
yeah.
Cup role.
Mhm.
Um, and Adams, it's a weird situation, Adams, because I feel like he's kind of, passed the torch now to Bowers, like you said. But I think Adams, at the end of the day, he'll still get his, talking about one of the premier receivers over the last decade. And on Kenny's bench, he's got Njoku, who was hurt last week, and Curtis Samuel, who I think is going to be solid in Buffalo, and Michael Wilson, who Kyler Murray, he has said over and over he likes him. So
Mhm. Number 3, I actually have Kenny at number 3. You kind of hit all the points there. Barkley looks great. I don't really like Swift that much. He doesn't look good. He had like 14 carries for 18 yards last night. Godwin, Steele, um, Pittman, but as far as I mean, I just got to give him respect on this rankings. I mean, he's number 1 in scoring and number 1
yeah,
in the league right now. So I kind
hmm
of have to respect him. I don't want to put him, not in the top 3 at least, just because of what he's shown. But yeah, I'm not gonna harp on him too much. You kind of hit everything I wanted to talk about. So you're number 3.
Oh, sorry. I was like, wait, why stop talking? So number 3, I have Sonny. I'm pulling up his team now. Like I said about Kenny's team, I was just solid overall. I think the same about Sonny's team. Like you got Gibbs, Cook as your anchor backs. Like that's great. With Andy Dalton, Deontay should be, that's like a typical 5 catches, like 60 yards. Like I feel like we always see that from Deontay Johnson. Like feel like we're gonna see that again. Bowers, you said he might be tight end 1. I was so big on him in Dynasty. I'm like regretting not taking him because I was literally banging the drum that he's like the Derrick Henry of like tight ends. Like you just get him the ball in space and he's just a fucking truck. Like he's so hard to bring down. Uh, like you said with Garrett Wilson, I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. The Jets offense probably be start clicking a couple weeks with Rodgers and Metcalf. Like we saw what he could do this past weekend, also like JSN. And it's not against like a slouch defense. Like the Patriots have had a good defense. I know it's a new defense coordinator slash head coach with Gerard Mayo, but he comes from the Belichick tree, you know, and they have always had good defenses, no matter how bad the team is. So, and then you look at Sonny's bench, like he's got McConkey, who I feel like you could plug in and play, Chase Brown, who could plug in and play. Freermuth's a solid backup tight end. I think Madison, like I don't know if he had a tight. I know he's been like, yeah. So he did have a touchdown last week, and he had a receiving touchdown week 1. So he's been kind of vulturing those touchdowns from Zamir White. And then everyone knows my Lord and Savior Dontavian Wicks. I love that guy. So you never know with any injury. I think he's the best wide receiver in the room, but um, Sonny's team is very good. Who and Anthony Richardson, he also has shown in the past that he can put up, 25, 30 points at any given time. So
Number two, I have the Diego Juniors. Diego's what is he? 1-1 right now. Yeah, kind of clapped his cheeks last week, but I gotta give him props. Gotta give him props. Nico Collins went in round 3. Nico Collins should have, in hindsight, went over a lot of guys. He went at the end of round 3. Because I think Diego had the 8th pick or something, and it was an odd round, so he was like 3-8, 3-9, something like that. Um, he just nailed his. He didn't have to go heavy wide receiver in the first. Because I know he went Brees.
and Kyron round 1
Um,
and 2.
yeah. So the fact that he's sitting here with Jaden Reed, Brian Thomas Jr., J-Mo, Nico Collins, and George Pickens without going a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds of the draft, I mean, I gotta give him credit. He's really deep at wide receiver. He's got Brees Hall. I'm not too big on Kyron Williams going forward just because Puka and Cup are out for the foreseeable future. So I just feel like there's not going to be a lot going on that offense. Brees Hall, I was really big on Brees Hall this year. I still am. So CJ Stroud, who I think was a little bit overdrafted for him. I just feel like if you're taking a quarterback early, like they went in that run, if they don't run the ball, it's kind of like I just don't see the payoff really being there 100%. But he's got a quarterback. Some people just don't want to not have a quarterback. I get it. Um, he's got a black hole at tight end, but I mean he can manage there. A lot of people are. He's deep enough at wide receiver where it really shouldn't matter because when I look at his wide receivers, it's like any given week these guys could just go off. Um, So props to Diego. He drafted a good team this year. He is a known regular season warrior, so we'll see what he does with it. But give me your number 2.
I also have Diego at number 2, and this was like splitting hairs. I've been saying like the past week that Diego has the number 1 team, and I'll get to the number 1 team. I don't want to spoil it, but I'll get to the number 1 team and talk about that. But Diego, his team is just like great. Like you look at his bench, he has guys like Pickens, Shakir, Singletary he can plug in. You could hope for the boom bust from Gabe Davis and Gus Edwards, and then like his starting lineup is just it's elite. He's got 2 great running backs. Um, the only reason that he's 2 is like a couple things. Like I do think Laporta is going to come back, and Jameson Williams is going to come back to earth a little bit. But as it looks right now, like Jameson Williams has kind of been the number 2, even the number 1 on the totem pole for targets. So if that continues, I mean, we're talking about a championship team, and I already think it is a championship team. But
Hmm.
Brian Thomas, he has been looked really good. Once he starts getting more targets and gets more acclimated to the offense, he's going to be a problem. And Nico Collins is just, like I said with Godwin, that also might be one of the top steals of the draft. And Stroud is just solid. You know what you're getting with him. So Good shit by Diego. He killed it. He really did kill it.
Now at number one, we didn't plan this, I promise. I have Kearney Satriales at number one. I mean, you look at his team, um, you look at his two running backs. The reason I have you over Diego is because of the running backs. A-Chain and Mason, it's just like that might be the best duo in the league right now, in my opinion. What a steal for Mason. We're going around 15.
Last
You
pick of the
got
draft.
yeah, no, because 15 is odd, so you had first pick that round,
Oh, whatever.
but Ayuk didn't practice all off season. I mean, Debo's down, CMC's down. He should be doing good these next couple of weeks. I mean, Tyreek Hill, even though the loss of Tua, I don't think. I mean, Skylar Thompson should be able to get him the ball. Rashid Rice looks amazing. Tank Dell, we haven't seen him from him yet. He did have an opportunity to really bust open his game the other night, but he kind of like tripped over himself and dropped the ball.
2 games in a row.
Yeah.
The first week Stroud missed him, underthrew him, and last week, yeah, he dropped that ball.
Xavier Worthy on the bench, along with. I mean, I'm not too excited about that many people on your bench, except for Worthy. But I mean, until someone goes down, like your bench doesn't win you games, you know.
Hmm.
Um, just with your team, the running backs are just so strong that it's hard for me not to rank you number one. Because when you have running backs, both your running backs could easily go for 20 points, you know, in any given week. When you combine that with the four wide receivers you have, it's really tough to have anyone above you. Uh, I'm not too big of a fan of Jared Goff. Uh, but for me, when I look at just the depth that you got in your starting lineup, I feel like you could overcome it. Again, you're another one rolling out a black hole at tight end, but it is what it is. Uh, you got the depth to overcome that as well. So props to you, Mike. You had what's looking to be a good draft. Great steal in the last round of the draft with Jordan Mason. Um, I don't really. The only gripe, I guess, it's not really a gripe, but I still do believe that you can't start Rice and Worthy on a weekly basis. That was the only thing I told you when we talked at the draft. I told you your first 5 rounds I loved. I
Yeah.
wasn't too excited about the Rice and Worthy pick because I don't know if you could start them both on any given week. So I think that's my only criticism I could really have about your team right now is maybe in that round, I don't think you took Worthy 6. If you would have went with a quarterback, you would have been a little bit better off, but that's it for me, really.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it, man. I have you at number one also. Like you said, we did not do this. It was a coincidence. We didn't even see your full potential this past weekend. Like Chase and Evans and Andrews and Cooper all didn't even like they had like okay performances. I think Cooper was really like the only bad one. I think Evans had like 7, but still, we know what he could do. We know what Cooper can do. Like we've seen him. I think it was like 54 points he put up last year in the playoffs or some shit, like something like
Yeah.
that. Kamara, like he just continues to defy time. Stevenson, Murray with the um, what do you call it? The QB wide receiver combo with Harrison, like and Jamar Chase hasn't even gotten going yet. So and you dropped 145 easy, And I know Kamara had like 4 touchdowns, whatever, but it's looking like last year, like you were just stampeding teams, putting up 150 consistently, and I can see that again. And you don't have much receiver depth, but honestly, Quinn Johnson had a great game last week, and Adonai Mitchell, he's like looked pretty solid. Like if Anthony Richardson can hit him deep, he can have those boom games for you if you need him. And then your RB depth is solid. We talked about this before. Bigsby has been cutting into ETN's workload more and more. And he also looks like the more efficient rusher in that situation. Zeke, he's Zeke. He could get you 10
Bad
if you
Zeke,
need him, but he's on your bench,
10 ugly
So
points.
and Chuba Hubbard too, Chuba Hubbard, and you have the perfect tight end handcuff. Like if Andrews or I don't know who's the number one now, but like
I started Likely last week. I don't know. I'll probably start Andrew this week though.
I think Andrews got 9 and Likely got 4. I think it's just like a going to be a dart throw every week. Who's going to be the guy? But yeah, like I said, your team is just explosive. You could put up 150, 160 easily. So that definitely puts you at the top.
Yeah, I think I'm most excited about Kyler Murray, man. He
He
looked
looked great. He looked great. Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know why we're like surprised because like we saw him do this with D Hop. Like he killed
yeah.
it. And now he's just a more experienced quarterback
Mhm.
and a better offensive coordinator. Like Cliff Kingsbury is a fucking idiot. And I don't know who their offense coordinator is now, but it's definitely someone better than him. So I
Yeah.
think it's uh, Drew something. I don't know. I forget his name. I can't think right now. But yeah, the Cardinals look pretty good too. So
Yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper, I'm kind of worried. I don't know. He's like, he gets the targets, but I'm just like, how is he not catching passes? But the
you know who
only
is
thing
the
about him is my flex is like, I just think back to that 55-point game he had in the second round of the playoffs
yeah
last year. And it's like,
yeah, and he's also your flex. So like, all right, yeah, maybe he's gonna have like these 4 or 5 point games, but he also has the potential to score 20, 25. So
Mhm.
with all the other guys going, like when they hit, and it's more likely than not they're gonna hit, and then he hits. Like I said, it's scary what you're gonna line up and do, and
All
and
right,
that's
well,
really
that was our. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no like I said I was splitting hairs with you and Diego. Like I think Diego's team is great. I think he's so like the difference between you and Diego. I think like he's like gonna be a solid like 120, 130 weekly, where you'll probably have like some 110 weeks, and like that'll be your like few losses, but those wins, like you could put up like I keep saying, like so many points, 150, 160, and who knows, even more maybe, your lineup is that good. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. So going into our next segment, we're gonna have our pick'ems. So you know how we do it here. We go pick winner we think of each game, then we have our lock, our game of the week, and our upset of the week. So starting off, first matchup on my list, I have the Kearney Satriales versus the Millimeter Peters. This is actually my lock of the week. I have Mike winning this one. Matchups are just too good. Andrew just lost Pacheco. I don't particularly think it's going to be close. I hate to say it on the air just because it always come back to bite you. But um when I look at Andrew's team, J.K. Dobbins is just I don't think we'll have the week we've had him see in the past 2 weeks. They're playing the Steelers. It's going to be a low scoring game of just grinding. I don't think Dobbins is going to have 100 plus yards again. T. Higgins is questionable in Andrew's flex. I don't like Cortland Sutton. When I'm just going head to head, really he just has the advantage over you in at quarterback. Maybe his first two wide receivers could match up a little just because two is out. But I think the 49ers should feast on the Rams. They just have not looked good. Um, yeah, I got you winning this one, Mike. You don't gotta pick your own game, so you could do my game now, so we can get that out of the way.
okay, I have you beating Kevin, and like everything I just said in the power rankings, like you
Mhm.
could put up so many points, and I'm not sure Kevin could compete. So that's really it. There's nothing really to get into with that.
Matchup number two, I have You Wish versus Child Please. Have You Wish pulling this one out. Um, I just don't know when I look at Ty's team. I don't really I don't see who's gonna show up for him this week, unfortunately. Uh maybe Jalen Hurts, maybe Jonathan Taylor, again, I don't really want to beat down on my little bro so much, so I'll let you take your pick on this one.
So unfortunately, I hate to say this, but Wilson is my lock of the week. So, and just like everything you said, and Wilson has some good matchups this week. We saw Nico Collins destroy Indianapolis a couple weeks ago, so who knows? DJ Moore, he might shred them, especially if Keenan Allen's out again. Udunze's knee's still hurt. I think Bijan's just going to get funneled out of the backfield. They're going to be losing, or I don't know. Yeah, I mean they're going to be losing to the Chiefs. You know, Pollard against Green Bay. That's a great matchup. Green Bay has had a terrible run defense the past couple of years. Pollard's looked really good. The Rams, or I'm sorry, Purdy versus the Rams. The Rams defense also looks very, very not good. So Purdy might light up the scoreboard. And then Dallas, they looked like shit. They let up a lot of explosive plays. So if there's one guy to take the top off the defense, it's Zay Flowers. So I just like the matchups for Wilson, really.
Mhm. My next one, I have Beer Pita's Tigers versus the Cardiac Kids. This game was kind of hard for me. So when I look at the matchups, Mahomes, Richardson, Gibbs and Cook versus Ford and Henry. Um, Garrett Wilson, Metcalf, Judy, and Jigba, Shaheed, Tyler Johnson. It's just like neither team is really over swaying me on either side. And when I was looking at all the games, I couldn't really come up with an upset. So I have this as my upset. I'm giving it to Julian because of his two injuries. I'm gonna call that if he wins this week, it's going to be the upset of the week, just because of the two guys he just had on the injuries list. I don't think Sonny is missing anyone to injury. So Julian's fighting a little bit more of an uphill battle, which is why I'm going to give him the upset of the week here.
I got Sonny in this one. I said this in the power rankings. His team's just very solid. Joel's dealing with some injuries that I'm not sure he's going to be able to overcome. You know, it's his top two receivers at the end of the day. So, and Sonny's running backs. He wins in the running back matchup. He wins in the wide receiver matchup. The quarterback matchup, it's kind of a coin toss. You know, and you don't know what you're going to get with Richardson. He can score 30 or he could score. I don't know. I don't even know what he put up last week, but I know it wasn't that good. And Mahomes, I said before, I know the Falcons, they look not good on the ground game, but their pass defense is good. So
Yeah, I think the X factor for Julian is actually I like his double tight end play here. I feel like they could both snap and win him the game. Um, Moving on, we have Barney Cass versus Suck My Dicka. The line on this game opening up at Barney Cass minus 21.2. Eddie throwing out the I guess you could call it like a actually no, I mean he's starting in Yoshi Boss double tight end. I just don't know if I could see the little engine that could pulling it out this week like he did last week. He won in a nail biter last night, but just because the injuries that he's facing this week, I don't know if I see him pulling it out. So I got Cass winning this one.
yeah, I also have Cass, and like you said, I just don't think it has enough to weather the storm. You got Neighbors going against an elite Cleveland D, Pitts against Kansas City D, Ferguson against Baltimore D, Waddle with no Tua, and then Brian Robinson versus Cincinnati, who like they did really good against the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs, their offense hasn't been the same past couple of years, but you know they're Lou Anarumo, former Dolphins defensive backs coach.
Mm.
He's a really good defensive coordinator. So
Moving on to the last matchup, we have what's my game of the week. I think yours too, right?
um, my game of the week. Sorry, I kind of fucked this segment up, Jess.
All right, you're good.
All right. So my game of the week, I meant to say it's also Sonny and Jewel. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have an upset?
Yeah. So wait, we didn't do Diego and Kenny's matchup yet.
Yeah, it's the last one. Yeah.
Okay. So we did your matchup though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the last one then. Okay. So yeah, my
So
upset is gonna be.
yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My upset is Kenny. I just looking at the matchups, I think and I feel bad because I've been talking up Diego so much, and now in this podcast alone, I just bashed him. I put him at number 2 in the power rankings, and now I got him getting upset by Kenny. But I just really like the matchups for Kenny this week compared to Diego's. So
Yeah, this is actually my game of the week. Both teams were 2 and 3 in my rankings. Kind of an important game for Diego. Diego with a good team, but he doesn't want to fall to 1 and 2 here. So this is an important game for him. I have him winning. Um, so the reason I have him winning, I feel like the X factor for Kenny is Saquon Barkley. And Saints have been looking really good on defense and on offense. And if Saquon Barkley doesn't have a good day, I feel like Kenny might be cooked. Diego's wide receivers win, in my opinion, by a long shot. He's starting Austin Eckler in his flex, Kenny, which I'm just not too crazy about. I feel like the Dallas versus Ravens, Baltimore Ravens game also could. I don't know if that's gonna. I don't know what to expect from that game, I should say. So I don't know how I expect Lamar to do. I feel like Diego's wide receiver matchups are going to be better for him in this game, and I got him pulling out the win.
so to
So
add on for this matchup, more so why I think Kenny's gonna upset is Diego's matchups are kind of pretty brutal. We saw what Minnesota Brian Flores did to Purdy this past weekend, and
yeah, it's true. Good
so
point.
now you got second-year quarterback Stroud and Nico Collins, who's he's way better at beating man coverage than he is zone. I mean, he's an elite wide receiver in general, but we kind of saw the same thing. Ayuk and Collins, I feel like, are kind of similar wide receivers. Like they're the X, they're going to beat the press coverage. So I know Ayuk, he has missed training camp, whatever, so his legs aren't under him. But I kind of think Flores is going to take away Nico Collins better than the past couple teams have. And then Arizona's defense has looked really good, and Buffalo's, they're somehow they just pump out these safeties and linebackers. I don't know where they get them from, but McDermott just fucking breeds these guys. So, and then Hall versus New England and Kyron versus San Fran is tough matchups for both of them. So
Yeah, that is a good point. I wasn't really thinking about that with CJ Stroud and Nico Collins matchup, but that should be a good game. Did you give us your upset? You did, right?
Ken was my upset over Diego. Yeah,
10. That's right.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we're about at an hour. Pretty good timing. That's all we got for today. Um, we should have an interesting 2 weeks lining up. I feel like nowadays with nobody really playing in the preseason, September is like kind of the preseason. The first 4 games in September or 3 games in September, wherever it is. So after this month, we kind of get a clue at what's going on because Lord knows there's been so much stuff happen already in these first 2 weeks that nobody was really expecting. So we should have a more firm grasp on what's really going on in the fantasy world after this month. It's been an exciting 2 weeks already. Um, I like the way our league is looking right now. As far as what's the word? Parity, I think is the word I'm looking for goes in the league. Nobody's really uncompetitive except for maybe one person. But yeah, going forward, I think we got a lot to be excited about every year. I think our league's getting better and better. Um, so yeah, Mikey, anything you want to say before we log off?
I can't agree more, dude. Our league is so competitive, and I try like telling like other like I tell like my friends at work and like my other friends like And they're like, "Oh, like it can't." Like they doubt it, and I'm like, "Guys, like you don't fucking know. Like these motherfuckers are pulling out guys like that." I don't know. I just like I had. I'll give you an example. I had Bucky Irving on my like love list. I wanted to add him before the season started, and fucking Kevin like added him. I was like, dude, like how does he even fucking? I don't know.
Mhm.
But Ty, I'm pulling for you, kid. I love you. I hope you're gonna weather the storm.
It's funny because I mean, obviously at this time of year, my timeline on Twitter is like filled with all fantasy stuff,
Yeah.
and it's funny. Anything I click on, like where guys post, add these, whatever guys on the waiver. No, nobody's ever available in our league on these
I know.
waiver posts
I know. It's
ever.
crazy. I know. Or they'll say like
So
draft this guy in round 5, and I'm like, dude,
yeah,
Abers went in fucking round like 4 or whatever, or like
yeah.
that was like my thing, like Rasheed Rice. I was like, I gotta draft Rasheed Rice because I know you, I know Ed, and now
I
like
was looking.
more people have hopped on the
I wanted to
bandwagon.
get him. I
Dude,
wanted to get him.
everyone knows I've been high on him, like with Dynasty and everything, and like so. But yeah, our league is just so competitive. It's fucking awesome. It's so fun. It makes it that much better.
Yeah. All
Happy to
right.
be back
Well,
in.
if you listened throughout this hour on 1 minute and 16 seconds, we're at thank you for tuning in. We do this for you guys. I love doing it for the league. I love the controversy it sparks. So I wish everyone luck. In week 3, hopefully less injuries, hopefully no injuries, but it is a physical game, so it's always gonna happen. But yeah, good luck to everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Joss.